Hey everybody, welcome. So glad you're here. Relationships can be a lot, can't they? Sometimes they're like a beautiful dance, other times like teaching a cat to play the ukulele. Today, we're diving into why some of us attract narcissists. It's about understanding and recognizing patterns, not about pointing fingers or feeling bad. It's about empowerment and making healthier choices. Think of it like watering a plant with the right stuff. Daniel has insightful points on this. Let's explore these reasons together. Ready? Let's get into it. Empathy is a remarkable human quality. It's the ability to step into another person's shoes, to truly understand and share their feelings. Highly empathetic individuals often possess an intuitive sense of emotional currents. They are natural caregivers, listeners, and supporters. This capacity for connection is a gift, but it can attract narcissists. Narcissists seek validation and emotional supply. They are drawn to empaths for their nurturing nature. Empaths often try to fix and soothe others' pain. Self-esteem is the foundation upon which we build our sense of self-worth, our confidence in our abilities, and our belief in our own value. When this foundation is shaky, when an individual struggles with low self-esteem, they may inadvertently project an aura of vulnerability that can be highly attractive to a narcissist. Low self-esteem often manifests as chronic self-doubt, a persistent feeling of inadequacy, and a tendency to seek external validation to feel good about oneself. Narcissists are masters of manipulation and control, and they possess an uncanny ability to detect individuals who are less likely to challenge them or assert their own worth. Someone with low self-esteem may be more receptive to the narcissist's initial charm and grandiosity, sometimes known as love bombing. This intense shower of affection and attention can feel incredibly validating, especially to someone unaccustomed to feeling prized or special. The narcissist fills a void, making the person feel seen and important, which can be intoxicating and create a strong, albeit unhealthy, initial bond. However, this initial phase is a calculated strategy. Once the narcissist feels they have secured their target, the dynamic often shifts. People-pleasing often stems from a desire to be liked and avoid conflict. They accommodate others at their own expense, say yes when they mean no, and constantly apologize. This behavior attracts narcissists, who exploit their kindness. Boundaries define what we find acceptable in interactions. They protect our well-being. Weak boundaries leave us vulnerable to exploitation. Narcissists exploit unclear boundaries. They see them as challenges, testing limits early and often. Without consequences, they push further, creating an environment of control. Past trauma, whether it stems from childhood experiences, previous abusive relationships, or other significant distressing events, can leave deep emotional wounds. If these wounds are not adequately processed and healed, they can subtly influence our present-day perceptions, behaviors, and relationship choices. Individuals with unresolved trauma may carry underlying beliefs about themselves and the world that make them more vulnerable to attracting and becoming entangled with narcissistic personalities. These echoes of the past can create a blueprint for relational dynamics that unfortunately resonate with the narcissist's manipulative tendencies. One way unresolved trauma can increase vulnerability is by normalizing unhealthy relationship dynamics. If a person grew up in an environment with a narcissistic parent, for example, they might unconsciously equate love with control, criticism, or emotional unavailability. The chaotic and unpredictable nature of a relationship with a narcissist might feel familiar, even if it's painful. This familiarity can be mistaken for chemistry or intensity, drawing the individual towards patterns that replicate their past experiences, as the psyche often seeks to resolve old wounds by reenacting them, albeit unconsciously. Furthermore, unresolved trauma can significantly impact self-esteem and the ability to trust one's own judgment. Idealism, in many contexts, is a positive trait. It involves seeing the best in people, believing in the inherent goodness of others, and maintaining hope even in difficult circumstances. Idealistic individuals often approach relationships with an open heart, a trusting nature, and a willingness to give others the benefit of the doubt. They may focus on potential rather than reality, hoping that with enough love, support, and understanding, they can inspire positive change in their partners. This optimistic outlook can foster beautiful connections when reciprocated by genuine individuals. However, this very idealism can become a significant vulnerability when encountering a narcissist. Narcissists are exceptionally skilled at presenting a carefully crafted, idealized version of themselves. especially in the early stages of a relationship. They mirror the idealist's hopes and dreams, appearing to be everything the idealist has ever wanted in a partner. The idealist, predisposed to seeing the good, may readily accept this facade at face value, overlooking subtle inconsistencies or red flags that a more cynical or pragmatic person might question. Codependency is a relational pattern characterized by an excessive emotional or psychological reliance on a partner, often to the point of neglecting one's own needs and well-being. Individuals with codependent tendencies may derive their sense of self-worth from caretaking, sacrificing their desires for others, and feeling responsible for their partner's happiness and stability. They often fear abandonment and may go to extreme lengths to maintain a relationship, even if it is unhealthy or abusive. This pattern creates a dynamic that is highly attractive to narcissists. Narcissists thrive on control and dependency. They seek partners who will prioritize the narcissist's needs above all else, provide a constant source of validation, narcissistic supply, and tolerate their often demanding and erratic behavior. A codependent individual, with their inherent need to be needed and their willingness to sacrifice, fits this role perfectly. The narcissist quickly recognizes that the codependent person will likely endure mistreatment, make excuses for their behavior, and remain loyal out of a fear of being alone or a belief that they are essential to the narcissist's well-being. The relationship between a narcissist and a codependent person often becomes a deeply enmeshed and dysfunctional dance. Alright, so there you have it. 7 reasons. Phew, that was a lot to take in, wasn't it? But seriously, a huge thank you for sticking with us through this, and a big shout out to Daniel Lorenzen for these incredible insights. Knowledge is power, folks, and now you're armed with a little more knowledge about these dynamics. And just as importantly, a healthier, happier relationship with yourself. You deserve relationships that lift you up, that are respectful, and be gentle with yourselves. And as I always say, be kind to one another. And that includes being kind to yourself, okay? You never know who you might be helping. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.